David Goggins might just be one of the most intense people on the entire planet. His message is, well, it's brutal, it's simple, and for a lot of people, it's completely life-changing. But is his whole philosophy of embracing suffering just a tough guy mindset, or is there some real science behind it? Okay, let's get into it and connect the man who preaches friction with a neuroscience that surprisingly proves him right.
This quote right here, this is the whole thing in a nutshell. It cuts right to the heart of the Goggins method. There's no sugarcoating it, no secret life hack. The starting point is just admitting that the path to getting better is, well, fundamentally unpleasant. But to really get why he believes this so strongly, you have to see where the guy came from.
See, Goggins wasn't born some kind of warrior, not even close. In fact, he was pretty much the opposite. He had to build himself from absolute zero, and to understand the man he is today, you first have to understand the pain that created him.
I mean, just look at the journey on this timeline. The distance between where he started and where he ended up is just staggering. We're talking about a young guy who was dealing with trauma. He was obese, he had learning disabilities, and he completely reinvented himself to become one of the most decorated soldiers and endurance athletes in the world. This didn't happen because he found his passion. No, it came from something much darker and way more powerful. So this brings us to his core belief system, what I'm kind of calling the gospel of friction, and it's a total rejection of almost everything the modern self-help world tells you to go after.
So check out the contrast here. It's pretty stark. On the left, you've got the stuff people usually chase, these fleeting feelings like motivation or passion. You know, the easy path. But on the right, you have the Goggins method, building yourself through discipline, through suffering, through brutal truth. One is all about external stuff, waiting for a good feeling. The other is completely internal. It's something you can do every single day, no matter how you feel. And this quote just cuts through all of that noise. For Goggins, waiting around for motivation to strike is a total trap. His whole point is you can't wait to feel good to get started, because for the really hard, really important things, you're never going to feel good about it. The only answer is to act, to just do. But if it's not motivation, what in the world is driving that action? He calls it being haunted. And it's not some positive, happy dream of the future. It is a relentless, backward-looking nightmare. It's the memory of being 300 pounds, the memory of not being able to read, the memory of feeling like a total failure. That haunting is his engine. It's the voice in his head constantly reminding him of the person he swears he will never be again. Okay, so we've got Goggins' raw, powerful experience, and it feels true, right? But is it just one guy's incredible story? This is where neuroscientist Andrew Huberman comes into the picture, and he provides this stunning scientific reason for why Goggins' entire philosophy actually works. So this has always been the big question, hasn't it? Is willpower just something you're born with, a limited tank of gas? Or is it something you can actually train, like a bicep at the gym? For years, Goggins has been living the answer. But now, science is showing us exactly how it works.
And here it is, the star of the show, the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Let's just call it the AMCC. You can basically think of this as the physical home of willpower inside your brain. And the most incredible part? It's not fixed. Huberman's work shows it can change. It can physically grow bigger or smaller. It is, literally, a willpower muscle.
So how do you make it grow? Well, this slide shows you the simple but brutal engine for willpower. According to Huberman, when you force yourself to do something you are actively trying to avoid, something that just plain sucks, your AMCC gets bigger. And the reverse is true. When you live a comfortable life and only do things you like, it actually shrinks. It's a total use it or lose it system. And this is the most important piece of the science right here. Just working hard at something you already love doing, like if you're a gym nut and you love lifting weights, that doesn't really grow your willpower muscle. It's the friction. It's that internal resistance that, I really don't want to do this feeling. That is the specific exercise that grows the AMMC. Goggins has basically been a living, breathing experiment of this principle for decades. So, how does this ridiculously hardcore, friction-seeking mindset work in the real world? Especially with something as complicated as, say, relationships. For Goggins, the answer is simple. You don't compromise the mission. Ever. Now, that statement can sound really selfish at first listen, right? But it's actually coming from a place of radical honesty. He knows that the engine that makes him who he is, the thing that allows him to provide for his family and be the man he is built on this non-negotiable drive.
If he were to compromise on that, the whole foundation of his life would crumble. This really lays out his practical approach. It's not about compromise. It's about building a partnership on truth. The terms are crystal clear. First, you are brutally honest about who you are and what your mission is from day one. Second, you over-deliver on taking care of your family, so your support is never in question. But that core mission, that daily workout for the willpower muscle, that is protected at all costs. It gives your partner a clear choice, based on who you really are, not a fantasy.
And all of this brings us right back to the very first step. Before you can build willpower, before you can embrace the suck, you have to do the one thing most of us spend our entire lives trying to avoid.
And this is the question Goggins kind of forces you to ask yourself. Not what are your dreams, but what is your friction? What is that uncomfortable truth you keep dodging? That workout you keep skipping? That difficult conversation you keep putting off? That is where the real work actually begins.
Goggins argues that most people never really start living because they're working from a foundation of little lies they tell themselves. Your real journey can't even begin until you have that brutal, honest conversation with the person in the mirror and take a full inventory of your insecurities, your laziness, and all of your excuses.
And that's the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Passion isn't the start. Motivation isn't the start. The cold, hard, uncomfortable truth is the only starting line there is. And really, the only question left is, are you brave enough to step up to it?